Thank you, MC. Your Excellency, the Honorable Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, Your Excellency, the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, Honorable Eugene Wamalwa, my brother Dr. Fred Matiang'i, members of Parliament here present, both current and former, friends, government officials that may be present, colleagues, friends of friends, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to have you all here today for the launch of my book, The Fight for Honor. It's a good thing to have friends among the guests here to hear me speak and to share in the celebration of this milestone. Let me say, I'm happy I've told my story as candidly as I could. I hope you will enjoy reading it and that it will inspire you to help me in my mission of building honest institutions in Kenya. Thank you for making the time. And as I said earlier, this being a Friday, I'm sure you'd rather be somewhere else, probably partaking of tea or uji or many other broths. As my good friend, the former president, who has written the foreword in this book, these days often refers to some of the beverages that people take on Friday evenings. This launch is also a milestone for political leadership and political memory making in Kenya. I hope more of us are here, and even those who are not will get the time to pen your memoirs and autobiographies to give the next generation an intellectual grounding on how to do things and how not to do things. I appreciate each and every one of you who has bought the book, and special thanks to those who have bought more than one copy for donations to your community libraries, your organizational libraries, especially the lawyers, the researchers, the think tanks, editions. So please don't be shy in your reviews. You already had Senator Lene Kifuti challenging me to proceed to begin doing another one. When this book came out, a lot of people, especially those from the political class, were very, very afraid. They thought and put their names down and exposed them. You know, when you are the Attorney General, you know very, very many secrets. I can tell you without fear of any contradiction that the stories I've written about my time in Parliament, my time in the Cabinet, and my time at the State Law Office are things that all happened. There's quite a lot that I didn't put in the book also. There is only so much one can say in a book that is about 450 pages. This book is really a moment of personal reflection about my time in these important offices. To my friends from campus, normally call ourselves the class of 81, I know you remember that day when we met in 2021 at my place. We sat, we broke bread, we ate some nyama choma, had a lot of uji and tea, and danced. And I also told you that I was writing a book, and you thought it was a joke. Here it is now. It's taken some time, and it's quite a lot of work turning rough thoughts into readable book that so far as the promise of being a good seller. There are many themes in the book. But there are five ones that I would like to speak about. In the first chapter, I talk about my upbringing. It's just a reminder that in my life, those early formative years shape who I became. Very soon I'll be 70 years. There are people who help you turn out the way you are, and those people are unforgettable. I speak about my high school head teacher. I speak also about my primary school teacher, one Mr. Lincoln Jero, who taught us the power of handwriting and how to write well, how to write legibly. That has stuck with me. And although it's many years now, I may not claim to write as legibly as I used to do those years. I also write about people who taught me values and how not to take shortcuts. Yes, I gambled in high school. I fought with teachers to run plays. I was not a model student in that sense. And I think that is why I learned my lessons at Kangaroo School. Next, I tell the story of the university years. I never at university imagined I would turn out to be a politician, a speaker, an attorney general, and a cabinet secretary. Life worked out that way as it did. I even wanted to be the president of Kenya just the other day. And here I am telling you about it. Indeed, the party I lead, the Democratic Party, has in its constitution that the party leader is always, invariably, the presidential candidate of the party in any general election, unless a party enters into a coalition agreement with other parties. I studied law and worked in the judiciary. I moved around the country, understanding the law, seeing how justice is done and not done in some instances. These days, I see lawyers complaining about delayed cases and judges complaining that they are overwhelmed. And in my days as a magistrate, I would get to the office very early and made sure that I did not have much on my entry. And even new lawyers reduce the games that you play on people to delay cases whenever you appeared before me. The weaknesses in the criminal justice system are well documented. But we can expedite the delivery of justice and make this country indeed and truly a country of the rule of law. It is doable. We probably need to look at our work ethics as people serving Kenyans. Kenyans need speedy justice. Can you imagine somebody fighting a case for 20 plus years or even 30 years? And this is not a story. There's a case I dealt with that stuck in the courts for years after I left. I'm not even too sure that it has ever been resolved to date. I also write about leadership culture in Kenya. The lowest point in my career was the frame-ups when I was in the judiciary. I write all about it. And I learned that in leadership and in politics, the backstabbing never stops. The backstabbing never stops. In the judiciary, in politics, dealing with KANU, Jubilee, and even now, Kenya Kwanza. It was constant backstabbing. Indeed, the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua has just alluded to some of those instances. Fitina mingi. A lot of snakes, hypocrites. Yes, you know them. I hope more colleagues can tell their stories. Labda tukianza na Rigiji. Stories would be amazing about when I talk about hypocrisy, backstabbing, hypocrites all over, conmen, fitina mingi. I also write about the legislature, the legislative politics, and the Parliament of Kenya. The Honorable Amin Abdallah alluded to this. As the first speaker under the 2010 Constitution, setting up all those structures, you learn a lot about change management. I write about what my friends in the media called the supremacy wars, the Senate versus the National Assembly. Some people think that the fights were personal. No. The issues we were fighting about, like the division of revenue laws, are still there. I say in the book, unless the Constitution is amended to better define the roles of the two houses with regard to the budget-making process, the fights will continue regardless of the many advisory opinions that may come from the Supreme Court. I write about the Constituency Development Fund, now called the National Government Constituency Development Fund. I say it in the book that this fund needs to go. Members of Parliament here present, please don't start throwing stones at me. I'm just saying what I believe in. I've given reasons. With the devolution, we need to get serious. I don't like it when I see many of my governor friends going to State House to, in quotes, beg for development, close the quotes. Look at the Constitution. You need to negotiate your pound of fresh. When you sit in the summit, chaired by the president, and at the IBEC, those are the forums that we have to discuss and debate issues about what resources need to go to the counties. Don't come to Nairobi to beg the president for development. The more you beg, the more you are entrenching the culture of an imperial presidency. And that we must appreciate has been done away with in our 2010 Constitution. So governors, please, stop this habit. You are taking the country back to the era beyond 2010. One of the many, of course, many of you will buy this book because I write boldly about my time as Attorney General and as a Cabinet Secretary. I know some of you are waiting to hear the stories I've told about the current administration of William Ruto. Well, these days he has many names: Kasongo, Kaongo, Githinji, et al. Many names. It is one of the worst decisions I made working with William Ruto. I thought I could infuse change from within, but I realized that the fish rots from the head. My friends in Tanzania say, siku zote ng'ombe anayechelewesha msafara ni ng'ombe aliye mbele, lakini ule ng'ombe anapigwa ni ule yuko nyuma na ndiye anapiga kelele. If this country is to progress, we need to deal with the leadership at the top. We keep saying one term, and we mean it. This isn't personal, but objectively speaking, for a person who talks a big game, but does the opposite, it is really disheartening. There's a saying, a quote, "Who are worse than murderers and pretenders?" There's also something about hypocrites. And I must warn you about manufactured crises. Every time you see our president manufacturing a crisis, just know he wants to eat. Just this week, we heard him talking about power rationing when the bulk of electricity is geothermal, or rebuilding the airport. You must have noticed that he's even costing the airport to the tune of 200 billion. Never mind, he was speaking in a foreign land, never accompanied by any engineer, any architect, any QS to give him these figures. He merely jumped at the figure of 200 billion. He would assign a value to a project just from thin air. I talk about this through the Kedong Ranch. The Honorable Rigathi Gachagua has just alluded to it. And the multi-billion tender, which I refuse to sign when they try and cornering me at the airport in Dubai. You do not, on one hand, collect hundreds of billions of shillings and then make the government borrow its own money. And then you go to international fora and complain. Indeed, it reminds me of the remarks by many years ago by the late Fidel Castro, who was saying that history will absorb me. There are also moments when he manifestly flouted the law, and I told him as much. The English say, you cannot lie down with dogs and not come up with fleas. I just want to say that might be true because I have my scars. And lastly, I have to alert you to the rule of law, the human rights abuses, the extrajudicial killings, abductions, and all that. You do not import mercenaries to conduct human rights abuses in your country or subcontract reprisals to foreign countries or gaslight your own people for calling you out. You do not run an abduction squad in your own country. These are things we need to deal with. Finally, I explore my drama, my dreams. What future do we want? What future do you want for your children? Do you want to see them despondent, being killed in the streets, being abducted in broad daylight, being gaslit for fighting for their rights? When I worked with this government, I thought we were issue-based. But now, tribalism and corruption is on the up. I believe in the rule of law and a government that has respect and treats Kenyans with dignity. If I keep talking, I'll be reading the book for you. I don't want to spoil it for you. Read it. Make up your own mind about the book, the content, and about me. And then decide what you can do about it. I hope you come to the conclusion which my good friend Honorable Wamalwa has said, one term. That we need to chart a new path and a new direction in this country. You read it, enjoy it, and I hope you buy some copies for your other friends and also for libraries in your locations. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to me. And I conclude by saying that I am extremely happy that our good friends from the Frederick Newman Foundation, Judy Kaberia, is also with us. I know at the foundation they do a lot of governance issues, just like several other foundations do. Thank you, Judy, for standing with us. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for having to read this because I wanted to make sure that I make every point that I intended to make. With those many remarks, It's now my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome on stage our chief guest, sorry, I'm also told that my very good friend, other very good friends as well, have arrived. The Honorable James Gakuya, the member for Embakasi North. Karibu sana, my brother. And my young son, the Honorable Gitonga Mokonji, the member of parliament for Manyata in Embu. Huyu ni kijana yangu. Thank you very much, Mokonji, for gracing this occasion. Asante sana. And I hope I have not forgotten to recognize, is that Judy? And also somebody I work with at the People's Restorative Justice Commission, Professor Friend Ogola. He just arrived from the US where he took his presidential campaigns. Karibu sana, Professor. Thank you. I know you just arrived this afternoon. Also, let me recognize the presence of Judy Sijeni, Ambassador. Wakili Eunice Lumalas. And I hope I've been able to recognize each and every other. But anyhow, my good friend Olekenta is here. Wacha tusikize our chief guest, His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo wa Musyoka is our chief guest at this launch. You will make